Get ready for the feature presentation.
Now, it's my daddy, Monkey Wi-Fi.
And welcome into another one of our podcasts. Thanks for being here. My name is Marty McFly. Happy to be joined by Joe Barbara. Joe, how's it going?
Good, Marty. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for cutting us some time. I want to go ahead and get the information for people that want to come out and see you at TPAC and this current show that you are involved with. I've done a little background on you with promoting this show. You seem like you are overjoyed to be a part of this production.
Well, why wouldn't you be? I mean, I don't know anybody that wouldn't be overjoyed to be a part of it. It's a fantastic story. It's an iconic film that's been brought to the stage and made into a musical, that is just done exactly the right way. I've seen films made into Broadway musicals, and I thought, you probably should have left that alone, you know? But this one is just, it's better. If it can be better, I think it's better. Music just heightens everything. You guys know that in Music City, USA. Music just heightens the emotion of everything, and that's exactly what this does.
A Bronx Tale is what we're talking about. If you'd like tickets, you can call 615-782-4040, tpac.org as well for the show, as it'll be running February 12th through the 17th. Now, Joe, you play the character Sonny in the show. I'll let you give a little overall view of what Sonny is all about.
If you've ever seen the movie, the film, A Bronx Tale, Sonny is the role that Chaz Palminteri made legendary. And he is the wise guy. He's the local mobster of his section of the Bronx. And, you know, he's done some very unsavory things in his life. But the thing about Sonny is that he strikes up a relationship with this boy, this 8-year-old, 9-year-old boy. You know, they grow for many years together as friends, and it's sort of Sonny's redeeming quality. And you see that, you know, it's not all black and white, and Sonny's not always just the bad guy. The great thing about the story is that it's kind of a triangle. The boy's name is Calogero, and his father was played by Robert De Niro in the movie. He's a bus driver, a guy on the straight and narrow. Good is good, bad is bad, you know, right and wrong, and he can't stand the fact that the boy has a relationship with Sonny. So it's kind of a struggle between two father figures for this young kid.
This is the Marty and Friends podcast. We're talking with Joe Barbara. He plays Sonny in A Bronx Tale at TPAC. You also know him from his work on the soap operas Another World and All My Children. And officially with this play, De Niro is a co-director of the play officially?
Yes, and more than officially, actually. Yeah. Bob was around the entire rehearsal process. He's been involved in this.
I will not belittle anything you've done, but I'm saying as an actor now, when you're standing around, you can say, oh, yeah, I worked with De Niro, right? I mean, you can officially say that now, right?
I'll tell you a funny story. It's a co-directing situation. So Jerry Zaks, who's got 4 Tony Awards for directing Broadway, co-directs this show with Bob. And, you know, they each have sort of their area of expertise. Bob is really into the authenticity of the neighborhood and the styles, and Jerry is, you know, very much has staged Broadway shows many times. So they both bring their areas of expertise to the show. And many times Bob would be behind the rehearsal process. He's looking at our haircuts. He's looking at the suits. He's talking about the really intricacies of these characters. One day we're sitting in rehearsal, and Bob was there, and he was, you know, very quiet in some of the bigger numbers. And what happened was he came up to me. We were working on this fight scene. There's an iconic fight scene in the film. And Bob just jumped up and literally grabbed me, and we started doing the scene together and doing stage combat together, which we had never rehearsed, which I had no idea was even going to happen. He literally grabs me by the front of the shirt and jerks me around and starts like punching me stage combat wise. And we were all like looking at each other like, holy cow, like what just happened, you know? Because, you know, I'm doing a scene with Robert De Niro. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
We're talking with Joe Barbara. You will see him in A Bronx Tale at TPAC. Again, tickets at 615-784-4040. You've done a lot of Broadway work. You've done some work with the Jersey Boys. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. As a radio guy, I love the Jersey Boys, obviously.
Sure.
So this is kind of take away the musical aspect with the Jersey Boys and go inside the story of some of the neighborhood that they lived in. Then you kind of going down the road to the Bronx Tale. Am I right with that?
It certainly is a crossover. If you like Jersey Boys, you will love A Bronx Tale. It's got a lot of the same elements. And you know what I always say, and this is true of both shows. We all know, you know, not to perpetuate any stereotypes, but But musical theater is not something that a lot of guys, if I can say that in this day and age, are really crazy about. Generally speaking, I'm a guy and I love musical theater, but a lot of guys that generally say, musical theater is not my thing. This is a show for guys that generally don't think of themselves as musical theater fans. And so was Jersey Boys. So if you saw Jersey Boys and you loved it and it was like, wow, this is a musical I can get behind, the same thing is true of A Bronx Tale.
This is the Marty and Friends podcast. We're talking with Joe Barbara. He plays Sonny in A Bronx Tale at TPAC. You also know him from his work on the soap operas Another World and All My Children. When working on a production, and you've done so much of this stage stuff, you guys get so familiar with what you're doing. If you're in a scene, when you are learning your lines and everything, do you know everybody's lines in that scene, or do you just know yours that way? What I'm getting around to, do you know when somebody messes up because you kind of know everybody's lines in that particular scene?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I would be surprised if most of the people in the show couldn't recite almost the entire show because you hear it so many times and it's so ingrained. The thing is, even if you don't know their lines, you have sort of a filter in your ear, and the second one little thing is different, your ears perk up. It's like somebody dropped a glass, and you go, whoa, what was that? It happens if there's a wrong note. It happens if there's a wrong line or just a stutter or something that's out of the ordinary. I really feel this show stands as one of the few shows where you don't get into a rhythm and a pattern and a rut. It's real. When I'm out there, it totally is real. But if you say something that's just a little off, everybody's ears are going to perk up.
Everybody notices, and I guess that's why it's important to have a seasoned cast throughout a run like this, because if something does go wrong, you guys just know how to pick it up and go because you know where the story's going and how to get to the next.
And by the way, if something goes a little bit wrong, you not only is everyone's ears going to hear it, you're going to get a lot of flack backstage as soon as you get off stage.
We're talking with Joe Barber. You'll see him in A Bronx Tale. So looking forward to this at TPAC. For tickets, 615-782-4040. Joe has done film, he's done TV, and even some video games, as a matter of fact. You were on soap operas with All My Children. What was the other one? Another World.
Another World
and All My Children. Now, let me ask you this about soap operas. And every year we did a softball game with the cast of Days of Our Lives. And here's what I kind of sense from the soap opera community. Tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like a really tight-knit community of people that not only work together, they seem to know everything about each other when they work on those things.
First of all, soaps, I think that's true of soaps, but I also think it's probably more true of theater people.
Oh, really?
Especially touring theater people, because you're living with these people city to city all over the country. But soaps, it's true in a lot of ways because, it goes on for years. Okay. When you're doing those shows, I don't know many productions in anything that in the entertainment world that last as long as soap operas. So, I mean, Another World was on the air for 35 years. Days is on for more than 40, I know, 40, 50 maybe, I think. So if you have some of those the people that have been on the show for 15, 20 years, 30 years even, obviously there's not much there's not much they don't know about each other.
You've done film, you've done TV, and of course stage with a ton of shows currently with The Bronx Tale. Let me ask you this, all-around skill, does it take more all-around skill to do theater?
Well, certainly you're generally not asked to sing and dance on camera.
Yeah.
So yes. But they each have their own challenges. And I would say this, it's funny, not to disparage any of the branches of the entertainment world, but theater and soap operas, I think, are the two most difficult things to do well. Now, people can do them, but to do well, I think they're the toughest. Because in theater, it's really a physical thing. I mean, it's really, I used to say when I was doing, I played Danny Zuko in Grease on Broadway many years ago, and I used to say it was like unloading a truck. And in fact, I did the soap opera, I did Another World at the same time that I did Danny Zuko in Grease. So I'd go out to the studio in Brooklyn in the morning and shoot the show, and then go back and do the Broadway musical at night.
Oh, wow.
And I would say doing the soaps is almost like a white-collar job. And doing the Broadway musical is like unloading a truck. Because once you understand the character, once you understand, what your role is, what you want in the scenes, and you've got the drama of it down, it's physically an exhausting experience. I mean, the dancing and oftentimes you run off stage and you've got to run up 3 flights of stairs and change and run back down and run to the other side of the stage and make an entrance. It's a workout. It's a physical workout on stage. You don't have that so much in TV and film. You know, you're kind of sitting around most of the day, and when you get to, call to the set, you say your lines and you go home. That's not true of every situation, but it's often true.
This is the Marty and Friends podcast. We're talking with Joe Barbara. He plays Sonny in A Bronx Tale at TPAC. You also know him from his work on the soap operas Another World and All My Children. If you'd like tickets for TPAC, the number is 615-782-4040. The show will run February 12th through the 17th. With you guys touring on a show and once you've done it and you've got it down, just because we don't know, we're not in that world, do you guys practice still, or do you have it down, you just show up and do your thing?
It's a great question. There are rehearsals, but not so much rehearsals for the principals. We'll have a rehearsal if someone has to leave the cast and we have a new person come in.
Oh.
We'll do a rehearsal with that person. Generally, they rehearse with the dance captain or the stage manager, to sort of get up to speed, and then we'll have one rehearsal with them before they go on stage, with an audience there. So that happens, and then there are understudy rehearsals. So everybody who covers a role gets a chance to do it a few times, so they're not hitting it. It's not like they have to go on stage one night where they haven't done the role in 3 months. But there are people in this show even who have to know, 5 or 6 roles. It's a lot to keep track of. And the other tough part about that is that you don't get to do it all the time. You just have to know it in your head. That's a special kind of person. We call them swings. And those are special people that have to really keep track of so many different, not only the choreography, not only the blocking of each character, but oftentimes their musical parts. So what harmonies they sing. And the same person can have, 5 different tracks of 5 different harmonies that they have to remember and get right when they go on as that character. It's tough.
One of the reasons I asked you about practice was, I understand you lived in Nashville for a time in the past?
That is true.
So I was wondering, are you going to go back and visit some of your old favorite places when you are not busy? Absolutely. In fact, this is funny, I actually called some old friends of ours about 2 days ago to tell them that we're coming to town. Joey's House of Pizza. Joey and Chris were good friends of ours when we lived down there, and I called her, and Chris was hilarious and just exactly as we remembered her. So I'm excited to go back to Joey's House of Pizza. Always excited to go back to the Pancake Pantry. And Rory Johnston is a buddy of mine from college, so I'm excited to hook back up with him. I believe he's on the CBS affiliate. Channel 5 here locally, yes.
Channel 5, right. And my wife actually was a reporter at Channel 5 for a period when we were there. So it's going to be fun. This
will be more of a family trip then, where you can have some fun when you're not working.
Yeah, and I have some really good friends. The Fridays are really good friends of ours, and I'm excited to see them. So I've told the cast all about it. I'm like, look, we've got to hit Joey's House of Pizza. We've got to hit the Pancake Pantry. They've given them all the tips. These kids, and some of these people are in their early 20s, they just go out and really take in the towns, no matter where we are, and really get to see all of the sights and all of the hot spots. When you're playing Sonny and you're leading the show, I try to take care of myself, make sure I don't get sick. You watch your voice because you're doing 8 shows a week. But they go out and just have a great time, so I'm trying to give them some inside tips.
This is the Marty and Friends podcast. We're talking with Joe Barbara. He plays Sonny in A Bronx Tale at TPAC. You also know him from his work on the soap operas Another World and All My Children.
You know what's great about A Bronx Tale, which we didn't get to mention, I'd love for people to understand this, especially in Nashville, being a town of such incredible and prolific songwriters. The music for A Bronx Tale has been written by Alan Menken. Anybody who knows anything about composing knows Alan Menken. He's got 8 Academy Awards. He wrote all of the music in The Little Mermaid. He wrote all of the music in Beauty and the Beast. He wrote all of the music in Little Shop of Horrors. He wrote all of the music in Aladdin. I mean, the man is phenomenal when it comes to writing melodies and chords that just make you feel fantastic. And that's what he's done in this show. And Alan Menken is a huge part of A Bronx Tale's success. And what he's done is really taken all of the musical styles of the 60s in the Bronx and brought them together into this show. And you have, from the early 60s and 61, you have the doo-wop sound that he brings to life in a new kind of a way. You've got the sort of soul and the Motown sound from the African-American neighborhood in the Bronx, which comes into a sort of conflict with the Italian neighborhood. You've got a little bit of a big band kind of a sound for the wise guys with sort of Sinatra, Dean Martin kind of big band fun stuff. I mean, he's brought together so many different styles of music into one show and woven them seamlessly. And for people in Nashville, it's all about writing music. Alan Menken is a master at doing this stuff, and it's going to be something that you don't want to miss.
Again, for tickets to see A Bronx Tale, you can see Joe and the cast. You can call TPAC at 615-782-4040 or go to tpac.org. As we go down the cast here from top to bottom, we covered your past, and then we talked about the award-winning, uberly famous directors. Now we get on down to the music of the show, and what you're saying is this thing's loaded up. This thing is loaded up with people that have great resumes, for goodness sakes.
And to top it off, Tommy Mottola, head of Sony Records, Mariah Carey's ex-husband, and has done so much in so many musical careers, is our producer.
It just keeps getting more ridiculous.
It really does. And Chaz Palminteri, and I talked to Chaz last night, and he's thinking about, he needs to come out to the tour, and he wants to come out. He has to look at his schedule, but he might be coming out next week to Nashville as well. So if he comes out, and Chaz is the most approachable, generous man I've ever met in this business. So if Chaz comes out, everyone will know it, and he stops and takes pictures and talks to everybody. He's very proud of the story, and it really is his life story growing up.
So as you took a look at this when they sent you the offer or the idea or whatever, so as you took a look at this and read all the names involved, what did it take you, like 2 seconds to go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm in?
Less than that. I'll be honest with you. Here's what happened originally. I was in Las Vegas doing Jersey Boys, and when the casting first happened for the show for Sunny for the Broadway production, I wasn't in New York and I wasn't available. So when they called me, it was sort of after the main casting had been completed, and they said, look, would you do the initial run of the show in the ensemble and understudy Sunny? And they originally, at one point, they had asked me to audition for Sunny, but like I said, I wasn't around. So they said, would you understudy Sunny? And I really didn't want to play in the ensemble and understudy the role that I thought I could really play well. Mm-hmm. Then you look at Robert De Niro, Jerry Zaks, Alan Menken, Chaz Palminteri, Tommy Mottola, and you go, oh my God, yes. Give me the pay cut. Give me all the sweat and blood and all the hard work it's going to take, because I want to work with these guys. It's a phenomenal creative team. I mean, the creative team, Sergio Trujillo, I mean, it's a phenomenal creative team. You don't get those people all to work on one project. I don't know if that's ever happened before. We have that many people from that many different leadership roles in this industry all put together on one team.
Well, if you didn't see any previews for the show, you don't know anything about it, take stock in this. Listen to Joe's excitement about his involvement with this production, and that tells you everything you need to know about the show, because you can tell how much Joe loves being a part of this. And Joe, I know I probably kept you longer than I said I would, but I really do appreciate you spending some time and really giving us some insights into this.
Hey, Marty, it's been fun. We're all so looking forward to Nashville.
Again, for tickets to see A Bronx Tale, you can see Joe and the cast. You can call TPAC at 615-782-4040 or go to tpac.org. Or if you're listening to this podcast after the fact, you can go to tpac.org and check out all the other great shows that they have for you.